Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series. And today's quest is the Dead Marshes, which is the 5th AP in the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle. A quick reminder that in this series, we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest's release. I'm calling this deck Escape Artist because in this quest we have to capture Gollum and prevent him from escaping into the Dead Marshes by taking these escape tests, which we'll see in a minute. And so this is the first time that I've used a monosphere deck, and it's mono lore. We'll use Barivor, Bilbo, and Denethor, all heroes that I've used before. This deck is similar to the deck I used in Hunt for Gollum when I used Barivor and Bilbo to draw lots of cards, which we'll be using them for that purpose here. But in that deck, I used Leadership Aragorn. Here, we'll use Denethor. Well, let's get to the quest and see how we do. This is going to maybe be a little bit of a talky playthrough because there are a lot of rules to explain regarding the escape tests. Okay, so our opening hand, I think I'm going to mulligan that. Okay, and that's what we have. Okay, because we have Bilbo, the first player draws one additional card in the resource phase. Let's go ahead and change our cards per round to 2. And before I do setup, let me just mention that I was wrong about a certain treachery. In the Hunt for Gollum, I was at about the 20-minute mark, I think. I was looking back to see where it was I said it because I read a ruling yesterday and thought, oh, I was wrong. And I think I said the other day the opposite of what the ruling is. So treacherous fog. It didn't change the playthrough in any way. I just, when it came out, I talked about it. When revealed, each location in the staging area gets +1 until the end of the phase. So what I said is that when this comes out, it affects any location in the staging area, but not any additional added. This would like sort of act like Driven by Shadow, which says each location currently in the staging area gets a boost. But this is actually an effect that is sort of covering the entire phase. It sort of hangs over the phase. So if you're playing 4-player and this comes out first out of the 4 cards revealed, and the next 3 cards are locations, each of those locations would be boosted until the end of the phase. And so that was just wrong what I said, and so I wanted to clarify that. All right, so here is setup for Into the Marshes. You have followed Gollum's trail for days and are now closing in fast pursuit. In a last-ditch effort to escape you, the creature has fled to the Dead Marshes. Setup. Search the encounter deck for Gollum and add it to the staging area. Then reveal 1 card per player from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. Before we reveal the card, let's look at Gollum. He stays in staging. He's not an enemy. He's an objective. It says if Gollum ever has 8 or more resource tokens on him, shuffle him back into the encounter deck. And that's something we do not want to happen. If he's shuffled into the encounter deck, then he could be dealt as a shadow card. I mean, it's annoying for him to leave play because he has to be in play for us to win, which we'll see later. But if he is in the encounter deck, you're waiting for him to be revealed. What if he comes out as a shadow card and is discarded? Then he's in the discard pile, and you have to get all the way through this encounter deck, shuffle the discard pile back into the encounter deck, and pray that he's not the 53rd card, or worse, that he's dealt as another shadow card. So the priority, the only thing we really care about more than anything, is him not getting 8 resource tokens on him, which with this deck, we won't see that happen. So how do you put resource tokens on Gollum? By failing escape tests primarily. There is one location, I think there's just 1 card that puts resource tokens on him without having to do an escape test. It's Impassable Bog. But when you fail an escape test, usually the result, if you fail, is to put resource tokens on Gollum. And when do you do escape tests? When a treachery forces you to do one, or the only other instance is this forced effect on Gollum. At the end of the quest phase, at the end of the quest phase, the party must make an escape test, dealing 1 card per player from the encounter deck. If this test is failed, place 2 resource tokens on Gollum. So we know that at the end of the quest phase, every round we'll have to do an escape test. What is an escape test? Let me go ahead and show you a treachery just to show you the difference between Golem's escape test and let's just say, for instance, this one. And I'll shuffle it back into the deck in a minute. So let's say the Lights of the Dead comes out and it says, when revealed, each player must make an escape test. Okay, so the order of events is I have to make an escape test. First step is I commit characters. And it's kind of like committing to the quest. You just exhaust however many characters you want to commit their willpower to the test. So if I had 10 characters that had 1 willpower each, I could commit 10 of them for 10 willpower. If I could commit 3 of them for 3. I could commit none for 0, but I commit however many characters I want, and I total their willpower. Then I have to deal cards. Notice this one says deal 2 cards. The Golem one says deal 1. So whichever test we're doing, we deal cards. And so what you do is you just take 2 cards off the top of the encounter deck and you compare them to the willpower. And basically you need more willpower than there is escape value. So let's just look here. This one has an escape value of 4. This one has an escape value of 2. So that would be 6 escape. And I would hope that my willpower was at 7, because if it was at 6 or under, I would fail the escape test, and then the negative thing would happen. So again, this is 6 escape, 4 and 2, and then however many willpower has to be higher. It can't be equal to it. So 6 willpower would be a failure. And so sometimes cards have no escape value, and that would be 0 because it doesn't say the word escape. So that's kind of how you take it. And then whenever you fail the escape test, you have to do the negative thing. In this case, it's put a resource token on Golem, and you raise your threat by 1. So that's what an escape test is. The only thing I neglected to mention is after you commit characters and before you deal the cards, you actually have an action window there. And so you could potentially, let's just say if you had Protector of Lorien on a character, you could discard cards to boost their willpower. And their willpower would go up until the end of the phase, and so you would increase your willpower and have a better chance to pass the escape test. One thing I want to say about escape tests is notice this one's harder because you have to deal 2 cards. This one's easier because you only deal 1 in solo. This one has a not as bad a result, putting 1 resource token on Golem. This one places 2. So generally during the beginning of the game, I'm always going to intentionally fail the treacheries that come out during staging that make me do escape tests. I'm not really worried about those because it usually means 1 resource token on Golem. This is the one we're going to go all in to beat. Every time we get to the end of the quest phase, we want to commit as much willpower as necessary, which technically the highest escape value is 5. And so if we commit 6, since we're only dealing 1 card, we're always going to win the escape test. So the sweet spot is to commit 6 willpower to this particular escape test. All right, so I think I've said everything I can say. Just remember, you commit characters, action window, deal cards, and then you sort of resolve. Did you pass? If you pass, nothing happens. If you fail, the bad thing happens. Okay, let's shuffle these cards back into the encounter deck. I will mention when we get to this escape test, there's one distinction between this one and the others, but for now, I think it's better just to move on to the game. Move on with the game. Let's reveal a card per the setup instructions, and it is brown lands. All right. So during the resource phase, side B, we have to make 12 progress to advance. Nothing else, just a lot of long text. Okay, so round 1, and we already have both of our songs. That's good. We drew 2 cards because of Bilbo. Bearvor draws us 2 cards. Okay, let's go ahead and take Denethor's action. We exhaust him to look at the top card of the encounter deck. You may move that card to the bottom of the encounter deck. And it is Heart of the Marshes. I really don't want a really pesky enemy to initially come out, so I'm just going to deal with the threat increase that we're about to endure. Let's go ahead and play using Bearvor's resource, Hinnomarth River Song. And now we'll move on to the questing phase. And instead of committing characters, I'm not going to commit characters, but we still have to go through the quest phase. So we are going to stage, and it's going to be Heart of the Marshes. And so our threat, because we were unsuccessful during quest resolution, our threat goes up by 8. We're at 35. And now, okay, we're at the end of the quest phase, and so we have to take our first escape test, which is on Gollum. At the end of the quest phase, the party must make an escape test, dealing 1 card per player from the encounter deck. If this test is failed, place 2 resource tokens on Gollum. We hope we can pass this. Okay, so I'm going to commit 2 willpower by exhausting Bilbo and Hinnemarth, and I'm going to deal 1 card. Now remember how I talked about the fact that there are a few steps. You commit characters, then there's an action window, then you deal, then you resolve. If I wanted to, during that action window, boost these characters with Protector of Lorien, if let's say I had one on Bilbo, or if I wanted to exhaust Faramir during that action window to raise each character by 1 willpower, I can take those actions, but they won't take effect because we're at the end of the quest phase. So Faramir says boost your character's willpower by 1 until the end of the phase. We're at the end of the phase. So if I take that action, which I can, it's not going to do anything because we are at the end of the quest phase. And so this is an official ruling. So this particular escape test becomes a little more difficult in the sense that you can't boost your characters through Protector of Lorien or Faramir. So you just have to just commit as much willpower as possible. So that's an important ruling that I think a lot of people, including myself, originally got wrong. So the escape test that we had to do, we deal 1 card. I exhausted 2 characters. I've got 2 willpower, and I'm hoping to see an escape value of 1 or 0. And it's 0. So we passed the escape test. No resource tokens were placed on Gollum. During the travel phase, we'll travel to Brownlands, and when we do, place a resource token on it, it leaves play. Okay, so that is round 1. Refresh. Next round. And Beravor will draw us 2 cards. And we'll take Denethor's action. Here during planning, we'll exhaust him to look at the top card of the encounter deck. And it's another location. We're good with that. We just really don't want enemies if we can help it. Okay, so I want to try to commit as much willpower as I can during this escape test that's coming up. So I'm going to play a Rivendell Minstrel. 1, 2, 3. I just played Rivendell Minstrel. And response, after you play Rivendell Minstrel from your hand, search your deck for 1 song card and add it to your hand. There's only 1 card, song card left in our hand. It's a Song of Travel. And where is it? Here it is. So all of our song cards have been added to our hand at this point. But we'll be more successful. We'll be able to commit 2, 3, and 4 willpower to this upcoming escape test. All right, so I have 2 lore resources left that I could spend, but I'm not going to. And I'm not going to commit anybody to the quest once again. So not committing characters. And now we reveal Heart of the Marshes, and our threat goes up by 6. Which is normal. Usually our quest, our threat's going to go up initially. Okay, so at the end of the quest phase, we have to take this escape test. I'm going to commit Bilbo, Hinnemarth, and Rivendell Minstrel. That's a total of 4 willpower. And so I'm going to deal 1 card, and I'm hoping this escape value of 3 or less. It's 2, so we beat it. So once again, no resource tokens on Gollum. I got to say, with all my replays that I've sort of, right before recording, I play through quests a few times. I don't think I've ever not put resource tokens on Gollum. If we could somehow have a win where no resource tokens were placed on him, that'd be pretty not a snazzy is what I was trying to say. Okay, we'll travel to the Heart of the Marshes during travel phase. While the Heart of the Marshes is the active location, all cards dealt from the encounter deck for escape tests get +1 escape, including cards that have 0. Okay, refresh, next round. There's Steward of Gondor. And Gandalf. Let's draw 2 cards with Beravor. All right, now we're set up really well. Okay, I'm going to spend a resource from Berevor's pool to put a Song of Kings onto Denethor. Now he has a lore or a leadership resource icon. We'll play Steward of Gondor, attach it to him, exhaust it, and get those resources right back. Okay, let's use Denethor's action to exhaust him. Look at the top card. It's Hill Troll. Let's bury that. And then I'm going to spend a resource token from Bilbo's pool to put a Song of Travel onto Denethor, giving him a Spirit resource icon. And I'm going to spend 2 of his resources to put a Unexpected Courage onto him. I'll ready Denethor. I'll exhaust him. I'll look at the top card. And it's an escape test, which we could actually cancel if we want to try to not have any resource tokens on Gollum. I could cancel it with a test of will. I might just do that. It might be fun to try to never see an escape, a resource token placed on him. All right, so I'm not going to commit any characters to the quest, even though that means my threat's going to go up by 3, because I'm going to try to just put no resource tokens on Gollum. Okay, so not committing characters, we reveal a card. It's going to be the Lights of the Dead, and I'm going to cancel that with Test of Will. So no resource tokens placed on Gollum. Our threat goes up by 3, and now we have to take a escape test. Now each card is going to be boosted, and it's just going to be 1 card dealt. Each card will be boosted by 1 because Heart of the Marshes is the active location. I'm committing 1, 2, 3, 4 willpower, and the escape value needs to be 2 because it'll be boosted by 1. And its escape value of 1 boosted by Heart of the Marshes is 2. So we once again have won the escape test. No resource tokens on Gollum. Let's try to go for that. That'd be so cool to see that happen. Okay, Steward of Gondor, drawing 2 cards with Berevor. And now we're going to use Denethor's action to reveal brown lands. I think I need to bury brown lands because I can't have that much threat in staging at this point. My threat's an issue. So move that to the bottom of the encounter deck, ready Denethor, and look again at what's coming. Pale Sheen, which I could cancel with Test of Will again. That'd be kind of cool. We're going to keep trying to do this this idea of not having any resource tokens placed on Gollum. I'm going to spend 2 resources from Denethor's pool to put Escort from Edoras out. And then I'm going to spend a resource from Berevor's pool to put a Song of Travel onto Bilbo. And now I'm going to sneak attack Gandalf in at the beginning of questing. And I'm going to lower my threat by 5. I'm going to quest with Gandalf and just Gandalf. Let's see, 1, 4, 5, sorry, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Just Gandalf. And I'm going to reveal a Wisp of Pale Sheen, and I'll cancel that with Test of Will. And so I made 1 progress and placed it on the Heart of the Marshes. Now at the end of questing, I have to take this escape test. I'll commit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I deal 1 card. It's going to have an escape value of 0, so we passed the escape test. This was not revealed or anything. It's just discarded, so it doesn't go to the victory display. All right, Gandalf comes back to our hand at the end of questing. Can't travel anywhere. We'll refresh. Next round. Okay, things are about to start snowballing here for us in a good way. Okay, I'm going to exhaust Steward of Gondor, draw 2 cards with Berevor. And I'm going to use Denethor's action. Pursued by Shadow. I want to move that to the bottom of the deck. And I'm going to ready Denethor again and look at what's coming. And it's a... I'm going to bury that as well. I'm trying for this 0 resources thing. I'm kind of being a little goofy maybe with it. Okay, let's spend 2 resources from Denethor's pool to put Celebrian Stone onto Bilbo. This is going to give him +2 willpower. And so now between Bilbo and Escort from Edoras and Rivendell Minstrel, That's going to be 7, which is enough to defeat anything that'll be dealt during this this particular Golem escape test. And then I'm going to sneak attack Gandalf in using Denethor's resource. We're going to sneak attack Gandalf in and lower our threat by 5. I'm going to quest just with Gandalf and reveal Eastern Crows, which surges into Through the Mist. Okay, we might not be able to do this. When revealed, the first player makes an escape test counting attack instead of willpower, then dealing 2 cards from the encounter deck. If this test is failed, place 1 resource token on Golem and raise each player's threat by 2. Okay, well, I'm just going to give up on this one. So we just deal 2 cards. I don't commit any characters to this test. And the escape value is 2 and 4. Okay, I would have lost it big time because this would be 3 actually due to Heart of the Marshes. And this would be 5. There'd be escape of 8. There'd be no way. So these are discarded. And now, since I failed, I place a resource token on Golem. And then our threat went up by 1. So my dream is dead. Okay, so I made no progress. At the end of questing, we have to take this escape, this forced effect. But actually, this is kind of interesting. We have to remove Gandalf or move him back to our hand at the end of the phase because of sneak attack. So in which order do we do this? Well, you have to do passive effects first. So Gandalf comes back, then you do forced. So we have to pass this escape test. I'll commit Bilbo for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's going to be plenty. We reveal an escape 2, which is boosted. So we not defeated, but passed the escape test. Okay, now we're to travel. Eastern Crows will engage us. And I'm going to take this undefended. Defending character does not count. It's what is this? Defense. Okay, so I'm going to put this damage on Bilbo. Okay, and now I'm going to attack with Hinnemarth and destroy Eastern Crows. When it's defeated, shuffle it back into the encounter deck. Shadow cards are discarded. Refresh next round. All right, so Steward of Gondor, drawing 2 cards with Barivor. And Denethor is going to look at what's on top of the deck. It's Heart of the Marshes. I really don't want enemies. So I'm going to leave that. Let's go ahead and put this fast hitch onto Bilbo. It is attached to a Hobbit character, exhaust fast hitch to ready attached character. It can be a character, doesn't have to just be a hero. So now Bilbo can exhaust a quest, and then we can ready him to also commit to these escape tests. Okay, Bilbo has this Song of Travel. Let's go ahead and put out another escort from Edoras. And so now we're going to just commit these escort from Edoras's and Bilbo during the escape test. Now we can start questing with Rivendell Minstrel. Just to get some extra willpower going here, let's go ahead and play another. Well, let's leave one. We'll leave the resource on Denethor. Let's play another Rivendell Minstrel, and we can search our hand for a psalm, but there's not one, so I will neglect to do this response. You don't have to do responses; they're optional. Okay, so I'm going to quest with Bilbo and the 2 Rivendell Minstrels. Already Bilbo, also already Barivor, and we reveal the Heart of the Marshes, and we made 1 progress. And now we have to take this escape test at the end of questing. Let's commit Bilbo and the 2 escorts from Edoras. So that's going to be 7. We deal an escape value of 2, which is boosted to 3, and we passed. All right, let's use Denethor's action to bury this. And we'll see what's coming next with Hinnemarth. Okay, we'll bury that with Denethor as well. Although at this point, I don't mind just putting a resource token on Golem, and we don't have our perfect record. Where I was going for the no hitter, but I fell short. Okay, we will draw 2 cards with Barivore. And it might be good to go ahead and clear Heart of the Marshes. It'll make the escape test easier, but mostly I just need willpower to be able to quest past things here. So let's go ahead and put Northern Tracker into play using Denethor's resources. Actually, we'll use Bilbo's for the 4th, and so Denethor still has a resource. He's the best one to leave resources on since he can play lore, he can play leadership, he can play spirit. And so that seems good. We will quest with Bilbo, ready him. We'll quest with the Rivendell Minstrels and with Northern Tracker, put in progress on each of these locations and staging. And we'll also quest with Hennemarth. We don't need to clear this location, so we'll just not. Okay, we reveal the Lights of the Dead, and we have to take an escape test dealing 2 cards. I'm just not going to commit anybody. And so we're going to fail automatically. And so we have to place a resource token on Gollum and raise our threat by 1. We made 2 progress and cleared the Heart of the Marshes. Now we have to take this escape test. So 7 willpower versus an escape value of 4. So we passed. Okay, let's use Denethor's action. And Eastbite is just fine. Next round. So we'll cruise into a win here at this point. Drawn 2 cards with Barivore. And let's play Gleowine and draw a card. And we'll play another Northern Tracker. And again, I should have used Bilbo's resource. We'll leave 1 on Denethor. And just to get this clear, let's go ahead and put out a Snowborn Scout. When he enters play, he puts a progress on a location. Okay, we're going to quest with Bilbo, Rivendell Minstrel, Northern Trackers, and let's go ahead and quest with Hennemarth. And so Northern Trackers place 2 progress on both of these locations, so Heart of the Marshes, this copy, because of Snowborn Scout, leaves play. And we'll ready Bilbo during the action window after having committed, and we reveal the Eastbite, and we make 6 progress. There's our first progress made. Now at the end of questing, we have to take this escape test. Bilbo and the escorts from Edoras will be able to defeat any escape value. No problem. So during travel, we will travel to Eastbite. We have to, because there is no active location. Okay, let's take Denethor's action. Evil Storm, we'd have to raise our threat by 1 for each character. Since our threat's so high, I'll move that to the bottom. We'll do Denethor's action again. That's good. Refresh. There's Treacherous Fob that we talked about earlier. All right, we'll draw 2 cards with Barivore. There's a Sneak Attack. Good to see. We'll draw a card with Gleowine. We'll exhaust Steward of Gondor. Let's go ahead and put out this, where is it at? Rivendell Minstrel. No song to fetch. We will Sneak Attack Gandalf in and lower our threat by 5 during questing. And now we'll commit characters. And of course, the Heart of the Marshes leaves play because of Northern Tracker. We'll ready Bilbo. Now we have staging. Treacherous Fog, when revealed, each location in the staging area gets +1 threat until the end of the phase. Then each player with a threat of 35 or higher chooses and discards 1 card from his hand. We'll discard this Steward of Gondor. All right, we made 16 progress, so that's 10 on the active quest. We cleared it. So Eastbite leaves play. So we're still in questing. This is quest resolution, and we're not in the action window. We're still in the actual quest resolution part of that. Okay, so we move on to the second stage, the capture. After a tiring pursuit through the treacherous marshland, you have cornered Gollum and move in for the capture. Forced. After this stage is defeated, the first player chooses a player. We'd have to choose ourselves. That player must pass an escape test, dealing 1 card from the encounter deck for each resource token on Gollum to capture him. If Gollum is not captured at this time, reset the quest deck to stage 1B. And if this final escape test is passed, the players have captured Gollum and won the game. So next round, we're going to win the game. Okay, let's take at the end of the quest phase, we have to do the usual Gollum escape test. And Gandalf comes back to our hand first at the end of the quest phase. And so we'll commit Bilbo and the escorts. And we defeated or passed the escape test. Okay, let's use Denethor to see what's coming next round. We'll move that to the bottom. We'll ready Denethor to do it again. Brownlands. That's just fine, I think. So refresh. Next round. All right, Steward of Gondor. Let's go ahead and put Faramir into play. And we just have 2 lore resources at this point. Okay, to make the necessary progress, I just have to quest for 8. I'll wait 1 more round to win the quest here. Let's just go ahead and wait 1 more round. So I just want to keep my threat from going up. So I'll quest with Beravor and Bilbo, and that's enough. I'll just send them on the quest. Let's draw. Actually, not Beravor and Bilbo. Let's draw 2 cards with Beravor. And we'll draw a card with Gleowine. Okay. And so I'm committing Bilbo and Faramir. Just kind of being goofy here. Okay, so 0 progress. And at the end of questing, we have to do a escape test. I would have readied Bilbo before the escape test during that action window after quest resolution. So 7, we deal an escape value of 2. So no progress placed on Gollum. Now we travel to Brownlands. We place the progress tokens on Brownlands. Let's see what's coming with Denethor. Treacherous Fog. All right, so this is the final round, the win. All right, so I'd like to play Gandalf, I think. Let's see, what other willpower can I sort of get out here? Let's play an escort from Edoras with Bilbo's resources. Then we'll bring Gandalf into play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. We lower our threat by 5. And now I'm going to quest just with Bilbo. And I reveal the Treacherous Fog. When revealed, each location in the staging area gets +1. There aren't any, so it's just sort of fizzles. We have to discard a card because our threat is 35 or higher. So we made 3 progress. And we're in quest resolution at this point. So we placed 3 progress. It says after this stage is defeated, the first player chooses a player. Let's choose ourselves. That player must pass an escape test, dealing 1 card from the encounter deck for each resource token on Gollum. There are 2, so I'll deal 2 cards. And if we pass, we win. So let's go ahead and commit everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Bilbo from the quest. At this point, we're still at quest resolution, but I'm going to commit characters just to kind of total up willpower here, as if we're questing. So everybody's committing. Just for the purpose of doing the math, I'm doing this. So I'm not questing, I just committed all these characters for a total of 26. And now, before I deal, I can take an action. Let's exhaust Faramir. We're in the quest resolution, so his action can actually be used because we're not at the end of the quest phase. So we'll boost for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that is going to be 41. So our willpower is 41 against the 2 cards that are going to have escape values of 0. So we definitely passed the escape test and we won the game. So again, I can use, after you commit characters, you can take actions, and Faramir's action works here because we're not outside of the quest phase, but on Bilbo's, because we're at the end of the quest phase and he says until the end of the phase, it just doesn't fire. Interesting rule there, but one that I think a lot of people probably have gotten wrong, myself included, before getting it right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I know I did a lot of talking. There's just a lot of specific rules with the escape tests, and maybe that was informative for you. We'll move on to the final quest next of the Shadows of Mirkwood, which is Return to Mirkwood. Notoriously difficult in solo, so I'm looking forward to tackling that one with you. And I hope you'll come back next time. Have a great day. Bye.